It's a whole new week, more new discussion topics selected by you, a whole new conversation. It's episode 23. Welcome back to 360 Speedway. Come on in, hope you've all had a good week. Thanks for looking in, and I hope you're thirsting for some good old-fashioned Speedway discussion. You've come to the right place, made especially for you. Let's start, as we always do, it's a good place to start by introducing this week's lineup of Speedway punditry excellence. My words, not theirs. Listen, we have a couple of returnees to the 360 hot seat. Let's introduce them now. So first up, he has been soaking up the sunshine in foreign lands, no less. Now he's back home with the heating switched back on. Welcome back to the 360 hot seat, Nigel Crabtree.
Hi, Derek. Hi, everybody.
Lovely tan, Nigel. Lovely tan. Good work. Next up, another 360 regular and another who's not slow to voice his opinion, sometimes controversially so, and that's what we love about him. Welcome back, CJ Carl Johnson.
Evening, Derek. Evening, 360 followers.
And completing this week's lineup, he's back for more. Our most recent recruit, it's Lawrence here. Good evening to you, Lawrence.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Collectively, this week's handlebar heroes. Lawrence here, I've noticed what you do. You change your hats. Every single week you've got a different hat on. I've noticed.
Yeah.
Listen, talking about noticed, have you noticed my little friend here? This is my computer mouse, who's going to keep me company and whisper some nuggets of information into my right lug hole all night long. So usual disclaimer applies that all of the views and opinions expressed on 360 Speedway are absolutely those of us as individuals and bear no resemblance to any clubs, former or current, that we are associated to. Okay, listen, as usual, I'd like to start by simply thanking everyone. A massive thank you for all of you for looking in this week and in recent weeks. Our socials, our YouTube channel, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram are suggesting that the uptake is increasing week by week. And that's fantastic news. And it's, like I said in episode 1, we need you to lap up the discussion and to take part in it, to participate, share your views, share your comments, give us thumbs up, be interactive, because it makes it all worthwhile. But thank you for being out there. All right, another week nearer the end of the 2025 season, more fresh Speedway conversation to be had. If you're sitting comfortably, then let's begin. All right, listen, if you tuned in to episode 22 last week, if you haven't, it's available to rewatch on our YouTube channel. You will have heard me pledge and promise to hold over a particular discussion topic that we didn't quite get around to last week. So let's do that right now. If you haven't been to both in person, then you surely have seen both on TV. Whilst one keeps us engaged and awestruck all season long, the other is staged and it's done and dusted in just a handful of days each year. But what a handful of days, and that all comes around next week. I'm talking, of course, about Speedway of Nations and the SGP series, respectively. And we're going to have a bit of a discussion about the respective merits and entertainment value for both of those competitions. Guys, the GPs, we lap them up, we watch them, religiously season on season. Sometimes they can leave us feeling a little bit flat. You get good GPs, you get less good GPs. Sometimes the racing is fantastic, sometimes it's not. It can leave us a little bit disappointed. But personal view, and I'm going to throw it out to you to comment on it. Personal view, I cannot recall any Speedway of Nations or World Team Cup, as it occasionally is every couple of years, that ever has left me feeling flat and non-entertained. There seems to be something about Speedway of Nations or Team Speedway, International Team Speedway, that is just a cut above the Grand Prix for entertainment, in my opinion. First off, Carol Johnson, am I remotely correct?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Speedway of Nations is very good, and like I say, I think that's slightly better than the Grand Prix with the entertainment. And I think that's more to do with obviously the teams that are involved, and certainly when you get to the to the final, it's it's the best teams. And yeah, it is good. I certainly enjoy it. I enjoy watching it. Enjoy watching the so-called best riders in the world riding for their teams, for their countries, rather than for themselves. The individual, obviously Grand Prix is purely for themselves, whereas there has to be team riding in the Speedway of Nations, and I think we definitely get that. And it's good that it's passed around different countries. I think that's really good.
Nigel, do you subscribe to that view? Is there something a little bit more cut and thrust and a little bit more physicality involved in the Speedway of Nations or international team speedway?
I think it's really good. I think there's more pressure on the riders, isn't there, in the team events, because obviously, no matter whether it's riding for yourself in an individual, the Grand Prix, or the team event, but when you're in the team event, you're representing your country, aren't you? You've got teammate or teammates, whichever it might be. Nobody wants to let anybody down. And it all builds up to a real climax for the final. I'm not too sure about the qualifying rounds, as I think the crowds have shown. Bellevue, I think, was a bit disastrous, wasn't it, for the qualifying rounds? Maybe to be expected, but then comes the big night, the final, and I think there's nothing better. All night long, you were on the edge of the seat, weren't you? I mean, England, GB, they will win, Team GB, whatever you want to call it.
We've had that discussion, Nigel. We had that one.
They were winning, they weren't winning, they were winning, they weren't winning. The Aussies and the Poles, there's so many can win it on the night, and it really builds up to a climax, and I think it's good. I like them, but I like the Grand Prix as well. So, as you say, Derek, it's a different score. You're riding for yourself there. Still the same amount of pressure, I'm sure, but it's a different sort of pressure, I think, possibly when you're riding for the team, for your country. Maybe a little bit different sort of pressure. I don't know. I've never been there, but that's how I feel about it. But I think they're all good, I think, really. The Grand Prix, I like the Grand Prix. They've tried different ways of scoring and everything. I couldn't have got it much better. I don't like the qualifying thing. The
sprint race, the sprint races. Yeah.
Isn't that what it's called, Derek? I don't see the point in that, to be fair.
I don't either, Nigel. I don't. Yeah.
We don't see it. The public, us, spectators, we don't see that. I can't see the point in it. To be honest with you, I can't really see the point in being a practice, really, because everybody's rode all of the tracks. Do away with the practice. Let's crack on with the meeting. Them riders are all good enough. If they've never rode there, by the time they've done 1 or 2 laps, they're all top-class riders. They're soon suss a place out, and I like them. I like the Grand Prix, and as I say, people have complained the scoring's not this, the scoring's bad. Can't get it much better than this year, can you, really?
That's true. That's true.
We're 1 point at the end of, 10 rounds, and there was 1 point.
Yeah.
Brilliant. No, I like it. I like it, but I don't know.
That's an interesting concept, Nigel. Not to have any practice before the Grand Prix. That would.
I don't see the point.
Well, that could throw some cats among some pigeons, Nigel.
I don't see the point in it, because they cancel some of them, don't they? If the weather's bad, they cancel it anyway.
That's true.
I don't see the point in a practice, and I certainly can't see the point in whatever you called it. Derek, that qualifying thing they do. Fastest
it was a
rider.
gimmick. It was a gimmick, wasn't it? Let's be honest.
I think so, but is it a gimmick at works? Because nobody sees it, do they?
They do televise it, but there's no one in the
I
stadium
watched
watching
it once,
and
I turned off and watched Emmerdale. No, I'm
you're from Yorkshire. Yeah, I would expect that. Lawrence, let's bring you in on this. So I think I mentioned Speedway of Nations, and every couple of years I think they alternate it with the World Cup of Speedway. But this year, next week, it is going to be the Speedway of Nations, which effectively means all the teams, Team GB included, announced a squad of 5 riders. Congratulations to Dan Bewley, Tom Brennan, Leon Flint, Adam Ellis, and Robert Lambert, who were the Team GB squad. But come the event itself, it's only 3 riders that ever get on track, Lauren. So is it effectively, is the Speedway of Nations effectively a pairs event, Lawrence?
I don't know. Now and again you have someone drop out or not perform. Not be performing up to scratch, or what sort of, how they'd like, and you can drop someone else in, and you never know. So you got to have a bit of a squad. But I mean, this year, like you say, I think in for a treat because it's at Torrent of all places.
Yeah.
That lends itself to some absolutely fantastic racing. We've all seen there, and just I agree with Nigel going back to the practice element of things. You don't practice for league meetings or anything. You're straight in, aren't you? So you don't. Does it wear the track up? Does it get rid of some of that, that valuable grip and track preparation? Does it wash some of that away earlier on in the day? Extra riding on it. A track is much better. Ridden on, when it's prepared the day before or the morning before and left. So I agree with Nigel with that sort of thing.
Interesting. Listen, you never know who's watching 360 Speedway. I'm sure someone might just be taking this on board. And wouldn't you be surprised if they announced next year that they've scrapped practice for all the Grand Prix?
Like I say,
we'll know where that came from. Carol Johnson, Speedway of Nations. It's effectively 3-man teams, right? But by intention, the old World Team Cup format. Necessitated teams having to source 5 riders who are capable of riding at that level. I'm sure, and it's been chronicled. It's been acknowledged that the format, the changing format for Speedway of Nations, it's easier for nations to find 3 riders who could potentially compete at that level rather than 4 or 5. And the Speedway of Nations this year is going to have 15 nations competing in it, so that's kind of testament to tweaking the format to allow more nations to compete. It's a better product from that respect, isn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely a better product. And like you say, with 5-man teams, where what teams have got all 5 riders? There's going to be teams that have got riders that are not going to be good enough for that standard. So, like I say, it's a glorified pairs meeting that you can bring somebody in if obviously if somebody gets injured or if they're loss of form, something like that they can pick and choose from. Does it help Poland? Maybe. They seem to have the best 5 riders all the time, don't they? So
I think maybe if I'm not mistaken, Karen, I'm not looking at any record books here, but I'm fairly certain that Poland were winning it year after year after year with 5-man teams, weren't they?
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, it drops down, to sort of 3-man or whatever, and they take it away from Poland and they struggle. But yeah, it gives them the opportunity. But like we said before, it gives other nations the opportunity to bring riders in to ride at that level. Now we know that the lesser teams are really going to struggle, certainly against the top boys. But yeah, it's certainly going to be interesting. It'll be different. I'll have to keep my eye out on some of these riders ready for 27.
For 27, Carol Johnson, what can you possibly mean? Do you want to elaborate on that, Carol Johnson?
Well, who knows? We'll have to wait and see, won't we? But yeah, hope for a return of the Panthers in 27.
Well, that would be something. And listen, well, if that's ever confirmed, Carol, or it looks like a hot prospect, then we'll do a fuller discussion on that, and maybe bring in some other personalities from the Peterborough. Behind the scenes. So this year's Speedway of Nations kicks off. It's next Tuesday, the 30th of September, is the first semi-final. Team GB are involved in that. The second semi-final, the following night on the Wednesday. From memory, the SGP2 Speedway of Nations is raced for all in one night. There's no semi-finals. That's competed on the Friday, the 3rd of October. And the Speedway of Nations final itself will be staged in that fabulous fitting venue in Torrin on Saturday, the 4th of October. Nigel has seemed to have disappeared, so we'll give him a moment thinking back. Lawrence here, one thing just to remind everyone of, that Team GB are entering the Lions Den in Poland as the reigning champions. We are the reigning Speedway of Nations world champions, Lawrence.
Yeah, that's true, actually. I mean, up against it in Poland against the Poles, has been just said before. I mean, who can bet against them? But they can all. We got guys that can ride the big wide tracks, as we've all seen them do at Bellevue. So Torrin has so many lines, so you just it's one of those. There's nowhere to hide there. So who knows? I think we could surprise a lot of people. That's because a lot of them. That's
that's Robert Lambert's home track in Poland, isn't it, Torrin?
Yeah. So who knows? He could be our trump card there, hopefully. And one other thing, what I do find interesting as well is that when you see some of these qualifiers, sometimes they throw up a few sort of new stars that we haven't really seen before. There's always now and again someone pops up there and surprises you and put themselves in the line. But they're quite interesting. They can be really good, and some of the lower teams, there can be some really good racing between those teams. So I think I'm in for a treat next weekend.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a super point, Lawrence. And who would forget Philip Hellstrom Bangs, who, as a young, I'm sure he was still a teenager at the time, who everyone will remember his effort and at Bellevue 3 or 4 seasons ago. He made his debut there. No one knew of him, had ever seen him before, but boy oh boy did he impress. And you're right, Lawrence, there'll be some riders across those 15 nations some lesser lights, so-called, and one or two of them are going to rise to the occasion, because like we said at the top of this discussion, Speedway of Nations seems to bring something out in riders. So just a quick look at the at some of the teams. We won't run through them all, but yeah, we mentioned Team GB are the defending champions. I've mentioned the squad already. Poland line up. They've got, I don't know who their pick will be, but they've got Bartosz Smarzlik naturally. They've got Dominic Cabrera, Patrick Dudek, who has made a return to the Grand Prix. He's qualified for next season's Grand Prix series. Pavlik Perlici is in there, and I'm not very good with pronunciation. Shimelski. I'm probably not saying that right. Some other notable scores. Sweden I thought were quite interesting. They have got Hellstrom Bangs. He's in their squad, as is Freddie Lindgren. Kim Nielsen's in there. Jakob Thorsell and Timo Latte appears to be a Swede these days. He's in the Team Sweden squad for Speedway of Nations. Some other notable names. Just picking out one or two names. Kai Huckenbeck. So semi-final number one that gets the series underway on Tuesday night is Team GB, Sweden, Germany, Italy, Norway, and Slovenia. Italy, unfortunately, Paco Castagna, who was a guest on 360 Speedway a few weeks ago, has got himself injured out in the Czech Republic on Sunday. So Paco's season is finished, and sadly he won't be involved on track in the Speedway of Nations. But Team GB, Sweden, I can't see them having being pushed too hard by any of the other teams in that first semi-final. the second semi-final next Wednesday night is much more interesting to me. So we've got a team of Australia are there, Denmark, the Czech Republic, France, Ukraine, Finland, and making their debut in the Speedway of Nations is Argentina, with a couple of notable names. Coti Garcia, one-time Glasgow rider, is riding for his homeland country of Argentina. A little bit, Carl. I don't know if you've been reading some of the narrative around it, but effectively the FIM favoured and selected Argentina in preference to the USA, which I think is, I know that's displeased a lot of people involved with Speedway in the States, and I could understand why.
Yeah, I think the States have obviously they've got a few riders that are probably a better standard than certainly Argentina, and in fairness, they've probably got a few riders that are better standard than some of the others. So Timo Lahti's riding for Sweden, but Finland are in it.
That appears to be the case, yes. Yeah.
Which it's like, well, Finland's team must be pretty poor if that's the case. But yeah, it's a bit of a weird one that obviously they don't include the USA in that. Which the USA have been in before and actually performed quite well in before. So yeah, it's a weird one. Whether it's political or not, we don't know. Maybe, who knows? It's Speedway, isn't it? There's a lot of politics goes around in these sports. So obviously the absentees as well, with obviously Russia not being included, which I think is it's a shame. I think, same with the Grand Prix, the two boys should be let back in. I can't see why they're not, and they would certainly make the Speedway of Nations stronger as a as an event. So, but strange one with Argentina being put in there over United States.
Just a reminder that next Friday night, the evening before the Speedway of Nations final itself, the SGP2 Speedway of Nations event takes place, and the Team GB squad at SGP2 level includes Dan Thompson, Jake Mulford, Luke Harrison, Luke Colleen, and Sam Hagan. I think is sadly sidelined. He had an injury at Berwick a couple of weeks ago, so I'm not sure. I haven't read who might be taking Sam's place, if that's going to be confirmed. Listen, there will be lots of fans, lots of Brits making their way out to Poland at some point next week. If you're heading out to Torrent, enjoy what is a fabulous city, enjoy what is a fabulous stadium and racetrack, and enjoy what is guaranteed to be a fabulous Speedway of Nations event. Super interested in your views. What makes the Speedway of Nations that little bit of a standout event? What makes it a little bit more cutthroat, a little bit more physical perhaps than the GPs appear to be? Do you agree or disagree with that view? Please get in touch, drop us a comment, and please remember to hit that thumbs up. If you're watching this on our YouTube channel right now, go down and hit that thumbs up and help to propel 360 Speedway's YouTube channel into the YouTube stratosphere. Make sure to watch Fans Pulse Lap 2, which should auto-start, so no need for you to do anything, as we will be discussing, is sponsorship more key than ever?